So Battlefield has been promoting hard because Battlefield comes out in like a week. And well, a little bit longer than that, but 2 weeks. And so we've got single player, we've got multiplayer, we've even got a little bit of details about Battle Royale. Now we have Portal. Today they put out a trailer for Portal, and apparently people got to play it, so we got a video on that as well. So first things first, the tweet says, design it, play it, break the mold. Forge the fight in Battlefield Portal with custom modes, object tools, a flexible map editor, control over rules and objectives. I don't know why I said that like that, and more. Arrives on launch day. So this is the trailer. So creating races. That's only up. I will suck at that. So it looks neat, right? It looks like mini games out of the full game. Now, fortunately, we have this video by the Tactical Brit. That he said, I got to see Battlefield Portal early. And it's about 12 minutes long, so it shouldn't be too long, but let's go.
Imagine in Battlefield 6 if you could have a jet race.
You can. Clearly. I mean, it looks really slow, oddly, but...
Or parkour mode.
I would suck at it.
Or a Horde mode.
This is crazy.
Or an extraction shooter. Well, in Battlefield 6, by the looks of things,
someone has already built an extraction shooter in it. Now, here's the thing. Here's the problem with a game mode like that, is they will not have like an out-of-game economy. Like, I think a extraction shooter needs to be successful. So that one won't fully work. But
imagining seems to be step one in Battlefield Portal.
Or steal the brain rot.
To create custom experiences with customizable logic and even a spatial editor. More on that later. Today, Battlefield is giving us a look behind the curtain at custom experiences made in Battlefield Portal. Now, for those of you who are unaware, Battlefield Portal is essentially a custom branch of Battlefield 6. Battlefield Portal will allow you to use an online web interface to not only craft custom experiences in terms of basic logic like what maps and modes you want, what weapons you want, but also far more advanced custom experiences that will allow you to change not only the logic of how certain parts of the game works, but even spatially edit them. Drag, drop assets around, delete assets from a map, change the potential play space.
See, this I think is essentially the beginning of what they can do with this, right? If they take the assets that already exist and make something like this out of it, imagine if they next allow them to make people to make their own interfaces, allow people to make their own like user interfaces, like outside the game. Like, so you now join your own game. Like, I think this is truly just the beginning
of how things are meant to work, or the height ceiling. These are all things that appear to be doable in Battlefield Portal. So if you're interested in how your potential wacky mode idea could become a reality, drop a like and consider subscribing. We're on the road to 200k, and let's dive on in. The first mode we're having a look at here is a parkour extraction mode that takes the core concept of Siege of Cairo and adds more custom elements to the map itself to create a parkour rooftop experience. Now, the really cool thing about this mode in particular is not only have they used the custom assets to craft almost a Mirror's Edge style parkour system,
that's neat,
but also they've used custom logic editing to make an extraction shooter.
How?
Where not only AI bots are part of the combatant system, but also enemy squads as well. Whoever captures the package in this mode and takes it to the extraction point scores a point or potentially wins the game.
Okay, so it's not an extraction shooter. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's a round-based mode where you have to do parkour and extract with an objective.
And even has custom UI elements to indicate how this all works. So this is a very complex mode with a lot of depth that could be applied to pretty much any map in Battlefield 6. And it's really cool to see that custom modes like a capture the flag style mode or an extraction style mode mode are fully possible within Battlefield Portal, especially if you give them an interesting twist such as a parkour situation. This next experience is called Top of the World, and this is really interesting because it's a customized version of Liberation Peak. Now, yes, there is going to be a very obvious, holy crap, that's a lot of different assets that have been placed to create a parkour experience, and this should give you an indication of just how powerful the Godot editor is for placing entirely custom assets on a map that previously did not have these assets at all. And you really can just go absolutely crazy with it. Like, you can place things.
It literally looks like you can actually make assets float in the air too. So for honestly, like for the first little while, I think a mode like this, like an only up style game mode, will probably be the biggest kind of stuff on here. And maybe Horde
locations. Give them physics, take away their physics value. Maybe you want them to float in a certain location. Maybe you want them to physically drop after someone's touched them. These are all options that will essentially be available to you as part of the logic and spatial editor. But really importantly, this kind of gives you an indication of how these two things work hand in hand. You know, the spatial editor not only has changed the height ceiling for this map so that infantry players can go really high up in the sky if they want to, but it's also stripped away a bunch of the base assets from the map and placed entirely custom elements in it to create a full parkour experience. And this parkour experience seems to work almost like a deathmatch and conquest game had a baby with hardcore parkour. You can capture certain objectives by making your way up the tower, and you can actually be challenged and shot by opponents as you make this progression. So this is a good indication of how you can go from potentially an interestingly tailored experience like an extraction shooter that fits in the Battlefield universe to something just completely balls to the wall off the rails like a hardcore parkour survival simulation. Now, I wanted to flash forward to the Portal Builder tool just to give you guys a bit of an indication of how some of this stuff works, because I'm sure a lot of you at this point are wondering, well, am I going to have to be some sort of custom game developer in order to make the most out of this? And
maze maps, yeah, that would be cool. I mean, you could only really play them like once though, because I don't think there's going to be like an option to create something with coding that makes it random, right? Like that'd be really cool if they could get to that sort of level, but that's what I mean. I think this is just like one step forward. Like, I don't think this is going to be the thing that is the groundbreaking thing for first person shooters, but I think maybe like 2 iterations from this could be.
At a very basic level, no. If you just want to host custom experiences in Battlefield Portal with specific map rotations, player counts,
yeah, so you can do this too.
The number of teams available in the mode, friendly fire, health values, restrictions to weapons and items, and changing how vehicles works. That's a very basic thing that you can do in the Portal editor, and you can do this and host these experiences in the game on custom servers that you and a team of moderators can look after. Essentially, you are going to have the ability to create hardcore experiences, specific versions of the game that perhaps exclude certain weapons, and even just changing things like getting rid of aim assist or increasing friendly fire and creating something just a little bit different. You know, very basic modifier levels that you would expect for things like hardcore experiences in Battlefield or pistol-only experiences.
So what he's explaining there is a more advanced private match setup.
In Battlefield are pretty much doable here. If you want snipers and shotguns, you can do snipers and shotguns. If you want to take away full damage, you can take away full damage. If you want headshots only, you can have headshots only. These are really just basic settings that will allow you to quickly craft custom experiences without having to do anything involving the spatial editor. Now, granted, the spatial editor and the logic editor to create more custom experiences and more tailored experiences is going to allow you to do crazy, wacky things. But if you just want a very specific version of Battlefield 6, you can absolutely do that. And you can possibly even take it a step further by mildly editing the maps that you want these things to take place on. Or just not touching them at all and changing the number of vehicles on them, or changing what kind of weaponry is available. This is, at a very basic level, a simple way of handling Battlefield Portal and a simple way of hosting custom experiences that you want to play. Health modifiers, custom weapon
I want him to go into the Horde mode.
Easy stuff all in one place. So for those of you who are quickly just looking to host specific types of experiences, maybe you want those vehicle-only maps, those maps that are tailored towards combined arms, or maybe you're somebody who prefers a jet-based experience, this is something you're going to be able to do quick and simple in Battlefield Portal. You're not going to need a degree to understand it. You're not going to need any complex understanding of coding or how that works to do it. It's just a simple number of tick boxes, sliders, and inputting different values on a web-based portal that then gets published to Battlefield 6 for you to use. It's a really simple system. I'm a big fan of how easy they've made this interface. I personally can see this being very popular for me in terms of hosting custom game nights for my communities, or having crazy modes like Snipers Only, or just having some sort of tank-based war. It's a really simple system, and I'm a big fan of this. Next, I want to show you guys the spatial editor, because this is probably the craziest asset in Battlefield Portal that is going to allow you to quite literally drag and drop assets into existing maps, or completely remove assets.
Actually, the other thing that'll probably do really good in Portal is like creating races and like jet races and things like that. That would do really well.
Maps, or place them however you please. And really, the sky is the limit here. What's really impressive about all of this is that what you're seeing is the Godot editor, which is a web-based editor that basically allows the engine of Battlefield, which is Frostbite, to interact with a web-based client to create these custom experiences, which means that you guys won't have to download super massive complex files or a game dev kit, and more importantly, it keeps the security of Battlefield 6 and its source code protected entirely. Now, this Godot editor is giving us a look at, for example here, Operation Firestorm, and the base assets that happen to be included within it. And in the top left corner of this editor, you can actually see...
I noticed that too as well, that there's no water combat, like no boats or anything. I'm sure that'll be something that they add in eventually.
Areas for spawn points, the HQ for the individual teams, the actual combat area and how that combat area is defined, as well as the individual assets from this map. So if you just want to change Operation Firestorm and make a slightly different version of it, or add or remove specific assets within Operation Firestorm to create something a little bit different, that's entirely possible. But if you want to go completely balls to the wall and change this map into some kind of colossal different experience, that is also entirely possible. And here in the Portal editor, you get a good look at how they created this custom hardcore parkour experience by placing all of these customized...
Can I just say the way that he says hardcore parkour? I butchered it, but like, I don't know why I like it.
...elements within the map. If you're somebody who has worked with a game engine before like Unreal, the Godot editor is going to feel really accessible and fairly straightforward. And if you're somebody who's never worked with a spatial editor at all, it's actually not going to be that complex in terms of understanding how it works. And I think the best thing that most people can do is load in an already existing version of the map and just simply play around with it to learn how you can change different assets, to learn how you can potentially use different pieces of logic. And really, this spatial editor is next level. This is going to allow us to do pretty much anything we can think of within a degree of what's available within the logic editor. If you want to
see, but here's the thing is, yeah, you can design what you want, but can you design the games with what you want? Like, so for example, like this is easy. Make a race with vehicles. Cool. I wanted him to talk about the Horde mode because I want to see if like how in depth with the game modes you can get. So let's say like they design it so that you can have waves of enemies that come at you. Well, can you make it so that each wave it gets more difficult, and how well can that be designed? That's what I'm curious about.
Custom experience like a jet race, which I'm about to show you shortly, that is something you can entirely do. Speaking of the jet race, this is it. You can actually see custom objective elements placed in the sky, allowing people to fly through them in order to progress in the race. You can see a ranking system to see who's ahead in the race and who's behind, as well as custom placed assets that have been moved and manipulated.
So it already exists in 2042, players versus AI Horde,
where if you crash or make a mistake, you simply lose. This next experience is Bomb Defusal, or as you and I probably know it, Search and Destroy.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they've essentially turned the logic of something like Rush and created Search and Destroy with an arm and defuse style mechanic and a one life mechanic. And I gotta tell you, what's even more interesting about this custom mode is that all of these custom concrete placed assets very much resemble Dust 2. In fact, a lot of this resembles Dust 2.
Oh my god, it is Dust, it's Counter-Strike. That's unreal.
Lean on that or speak on it anymore, because it's an interesting choice to showcase another map from another game. But
this was Battlefield's gameplay.
I mean, it looks like Dust 2 in terms of layout.
It 100%
is.
An
arm and defuse
Look at the doors. Those are the doors.
To create custom competitive experiences in Battlefield Portal, that is something that you will be able to do.
Yeah, you can earn XP through Portal too, as long as the mode is confirmed.
Lane style systems, and you can even use existing assets and remove destructibility from them to make something that looks a little bit cleaner. Finally, we have Holdout, which is essentially a round-based Horde experience that gives you a certain amount of cash, a certain number of redeploys, and a certain number of progressively intensifying AI enemies that start attacking you. Now, what's really interesting with this mode is that this could be a bot-based experience, and you can have entire AI-based experiences, or this could be crafted into a player-based experience with faster movement speed and knives to essentially create a classic version of the zombies mode that many of us know from previous Battlefield games, where you get rushed down by individual opponents and they have faster sprint speed and your squad has the task of surviving.
Ooh,
and this is a great...
That's a good bet. That's a good bet. Over under 24 hours until Nuketown gets made in Battlefield 6. I would say under. I think I would take the under. I bet you it's before it launches. I bet you someone gets their hands on it early before launch. That's my bet.
Just showcasing how you can create these really interesting experiences or sort of fan favorite modes, and I can see a zombies or horde style experience being pretty popular going forward in Battlefield 6. So that's about everything from this look behind the curtain in Battlefield Portal. And while some of this stuff does look inherently quite basic or perhaps doesn't look super crazy, the idea behind all of this is that it's up to you guys as to what you want to make and how you want to make it. If you want a super simple experience or a grounded experience and you don't really want anything complex, or if you even just want to make a slightly more intricate version of the firing range and have a bot-based experience for you to test.
So here's my opinion on this, right? I think we've pretty much seen everything that Britt's going to show us here. Here's my honest opinion on this, right? I think this is going to be cool. I think there's going to be certain game modes, like creating of a search and destroy mode, that can go really cool. I think making maps in those modes like that will be really cool. I think races will be really cool. And to a certain extent, parkour maps will be really cool. Now, do you want to know why Roblox and Fortnite and things like that that have these type of editors in it work and why they're so popular? Is because the games allow them to completely make their own games with their own user interfaces, with their own rules, with everything. And to do that, there needs to be a certain level of coding done. This doesn't allow that from what I understand, but I think they're close to that. And that's why I say this iteration won't be the be all end all, but it's close. It's really, really close. Battlefield would be better if it carried over between Battlefield titles. Yeah, it would. That would introduce some problems, I think, but it would be. But it's right on the edge of that, right? So like I haven't played it, but Steal a Brain Rot or Steal the Brain Rot, whatever, it has like its own in-game economy, its own rules, its own things. Things like that, I don't think will be able to be made with the tools that are available. But one day it will be. But this is big. And honestly, if I was Call of Duty, I'd be looking and going, we need that.